It's a big old love letter to horror films and the stuff we love.
I'm feeling that. But before we get there, how does the collaboration process work between the three of you?
Well, we don't write together anymore ever.
No. We like each other too much,
right?
And want to stay together. So.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Comics Cube. I am with Emily McGuinness and Dan Bridges. We're talking about The Zombie Game, a veteran horror comic. How are you two doing today?
We're doing awesome today.
Very, very well. Thank you.
Doing very well. That's pretty cool. So The Zombie Game, you guys just launched a few days ago on Kickstarter. I'm here to help. Doesn't really look like you need the help.
No, we do. We need the help. Stretch.
We want those stretch goals. That's right. That's right. We want to put even more books into your hands.
Yeah, we actually, I really want people to be able to read it and see the art too, and check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me about The Zombie Game. Well, first, how about you guys tell me why comics? What brought you, what got into making this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I went to school for comics, actually, and worked at Boom Studios and did the comic convention circuit for a long time. And I ran a dinner in LA for comics people for 3 years. And I just really fell in love with the medium because you can do so many things. Like, it's such a great storytelling device. And when we came up with our next project, I told this one, I was like, it's got to be a comic. Like, it's too good to not be a comic.
Yeah, and I had always loved comic books since I was in the Army, and I had it was kind of that, awe. And then I met her, and she just got me into the indie comics and just started reading more and more and just. I'd always dealt with superheroes and I was so used to that. And then she kind of opened up an entire new world and I just loved it. And then I came up with this idea and she's like, this would be a great comic book. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And I had no idea how to write it. She had to help me with all that stuff. And we went from there. We found an artist and yeah.
Dan, you were a big X-Men fan, right?
Yeah. Well, mostly Wolverine, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was definitely a fan of. That's kind of how I got in. I got in it with Wolverine and Weapon X, and at that time it was the first. It was the Infinity Gauntlet series. I was in the Army, and that's when that came out, and so I was running to the little PX thing that we had next to the barber, and I was always just checking to see if they had the next step, the next book, and it was really, really, really cool. So that's how I got in. Yeah.
So safe to say that you're a fan of characters getting hacked and slashed to pieces?
A little bit. Yeah.
He was thrilled when Logan came out.
Oh my God. That was awesome.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
And Emily, you have done you've done books about dead animals and
there's no smooth way to bring that up. That's okay. Yeah, it came about as part of the comic convention circuit that I was bored at tables, there's only so many people coming over to Artist Alley, tearing them away from the giant Marvel and DC booths, can be a challenge at some of the shows. So there's always some amount of downtime. I was just goofing around with friends I would share a table with, and we'd sketch and do doodles and stuff. And so I drew a doodle for my table mate, and I was like, haha, look, it's this animal, but he's dead and he's got X's for eyes. And as our our own inner third grader comes out, I was like, well, we can't stop there. It has to have little, like, the stinky, like, smelly lines, and it has to have some flies. And my table mate was like, oh my God, that's so cute. You need to, like, do a whole book of those.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just fun and quirky. So you get 2 animals per letter. So there you go.
And she also did the companion coloring book, like Zombie
Adventures. Yeah.
Yeah. She just was doodling our dog a lot.
Oh, during quarantine, that's all we had to do was stare at the dog.
May as well.
Yeah.
So, what sparked the idea for the zombie game?
Multiple things kind of coincided. I'm a veteran. I'm not a combat veteran, but a lot of my friends are, and we were just really bummed out about like all veteran movies being about PTSD and that. And there's a little bit of an element to that, but I wanted to look at, some of that as positives and, in situations instead of negatives. And that happened. And then I was looking at different aspects of horror and different kinds of monsters, and
horror is really intimidating to write.
Yeah, incredible. And I didn't want to just jump into like a scary whatever and just another zombie movie or film or book or comic. I wanted to say something with it and have some unique thing. And I read this book called The Girl with All the Gifts.
Okay.
And it's a book. It's about like the zombies are created by fungus. It's weird, but the book itself is awesome. The movie sucked, but I I liked being able to think about it in a different way. Like it was the first time I got to like think about and go, okay, I can put a stamp on it. I could do something different. And then I had my lead, and then I was like, okay, now if I'm not just cornered with just one type of zombie, what can I do with that, and why would I do something, and who would do something with this? And then at the time it was we're all
fighting the rich,
fighting the where all the Bernie bros were out, it's like the 1%ers and all this kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, is there themes in here and themes in there, and
it all swirled together.
And it just came together in a zombie apocalypse party.
There you go.
Zombie apocalypse, but how does the game element come into it?
You want me?
Sure. Yeah, so we love horror that's like more grounded in reality. And so it was important to us to tell a story that we believed could actually happen to us. And as we started exploring that idea, we were like, if we're going to have someone make zombies, how would they make them and why would they make them? And in exploring all these themes about like our outcasts, strengths, things that would help them survive, we were like, it has to be someone like the game master in Saw, playing a game with these people.
So who would do this? Like that was the big thing, right? Who would do this and why? And if you're going to, there's a, it's like, oh, he's evil. It's like, yeah, that's great. Everybody, but wouldn't it be better if he was just a capitalist and wanted to make a lot of money? Mm-hmm. And so he would allow people to play this game, and he would set up the game, and then he would do this. So who would play? Well, who could afford the game? Like people that used, that were super rich, just these like uber 1%ers, Rockefeller type things, who do things with and use people as fodder. And so then it kind of was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And so now you have like a game master and people that are playing who are gamers. And then you have like our heroes who are just there. And they just kind of happen to be immune to what's making other people zombies. And so there are puzzles and levels, and they have to get out, and our guys don't even know that they're playing a game.
And it was in keeping in that grounding in reality. Like the game master is actually creating the zombies, like with a drug. So it was another element of like he can manipulate this to be whatever he wants. It just happens to be that this particular game is zombies, but it didn't have to be.
Yeah, we've at the same time that the thing that hit me was the bath salt stuff that happened where the guys in Florida were like, we're eating people's faces and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then, I looked at it and looked into like what kind of drugs and what happened and why and the chemical reaction. And I started going, oh, okay, you can actually manipulate chemically the brain, and then it can cause this as opposed to a comet or a virus, which we all know just sucks.
Which, by the way, people do not avoid like the way they say they would.
Yes. No, it's like, oh yeah, man, it's like, oh, that doesn't matter. Weird. don't take away my freedoms.
The pandemic has proved that the world would be completely covered by the zombie virus in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Even if they actually physically, tangibly see a zombie, they would
still
exist. Yeah.
Like, I gotta get to Bed Bath & Beyond. Like, you get out of my way.
I need my Baskin Robbins open.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, we looked at it, and then like one of the interesting things, I looked at it with ecstasy. And ecstasy doesn't work on certain people if they're taking like different different types of drugs. So like if you're on Adderall or if you're on like antipsychotics and stuff like that, the drug doesn't really take effect because of chemicals already being worked on your brain. So I was like, oh, in college, a lot of people are on Adderall. A lot of people are on this stuff. So there would be an entire like 40% of college students are on some sort of drug.
A lot of people are also on ecstasy.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was the thing, right? And so you had this thing where like certain people are going to like turn, and then other people wouldn't, and it would just kind of you create this mass hysteria type of situation out of this chemical base, and it was really exciting. It was really fun, and then you can get to play with it. You can manipulate the drug to make different types,
and that's why we were able to put like different kinds of zombies on each level.
Yeah.
So one of the things about horror movies and zombie movies is that as soon as you know like what the villain's weakness is, like the movie's kind of over because like you can defeat him. But what would happen if it wasn't just like one type of villain? You didn't figure out like just one key. You had to figure out like all different types of zombies.
And you'd also have to figure out that was the case in the first.
Right. So that's kind of happens in level 2. They get they show up and they're like, oh, let's just go kill these guys, because it was like the Romero zombies and they're slow, and it's like they're like, you know, these are it's like this is different. And so if you've like, I'd say Train to Busan is like that. The midpoint is basically where if you spoiler alert, it's been out a lot.
It's even getting a remake at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Several years old at this point.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but
it's really good. But in the midpoint, you find out how the zombies kind of are in the same way World War Z, where you see them run past the kid who's sick, and you're just like, oh, that's how they're going to figure it out. Well, we eliminated that part, so that was kind of fun. So you could instead of like, we have to fix the zombies or we have to stop us. It's like none of that shit matters.
Or if we just run fast enough, because they progressively get harder at each level as well. So.
And each level is kind of a classic horror movie set. So it's like you go into this and you're at a CDC center, kind of like in
World War Z.
In this stand, and then the next one's like a farmhouse with a barn, and you're like, oh, and so things change, and our artist was amazing, and he was able to like each level has its own color palette and change and the zombies change, and it's
a big old love letter to horror films and the stuff we love.
I'm feeling that. But before we get there, how does the collaboration process work between the three of you?
Well, we don't write together anymore ever.
No. We like each other too much,
right?
And want to stay together. So
we are much better editors of each other's work than we are co-writers. And then
I feel like that's a
Pablo
familiar story.
yeah. It's the only way couples can stay together really and work together creatively. And Pablo was just like an inspiration to us. It was one of those things where like we had this idea and we worked on it, but like a good artist takes it to the next level. Like we would never have this book that we have without him. Like he was able to add his own touch, and we gave him, I would say, pretty minimal direction. Like the only corrections we ever gave him were if it was super important to like uphold the story point.
Yeah, I it was really interesting because I had, you know, I'm used to certain types of comics, and I'm used to this kind of thing, and I'm used to kind of, you know, oh, okay. And what he was able to do and create and paint and the atmosphere was just so different than what I was used to seeing. But um, as somebody that's creative, I just wanted to give him the reign to kind of, you know, like run free or fly free, little bird. You know, it's like, give me what you, it's like, and not be stifling the creativity, because I felt like there were some people that were like, okay, what do you want? You know, artists, and it's like, okay, I can draw that. But he was like, oh, I got this idea. How about I do this? And we're like, what the hell? Why don't you give it a shot?
And then, like fisheye lenses came out of it, like all sort of crazy upshots and like just madness
his
came out
panels
of his brain.
are just crazy. It was just like, damn.
Yeah, he goes you know, he goes super realistic in the way he paints them too.
Yeah.
Super realistic, but also not.
Yeah. It's a perfect mix. We saw his test page, and it just had like texture. It felt like you were there, and we're like, all right, we want that with zombies. Let's do that.
Okay, and you know, it's clearly, as you've mentioned, a love letter to different you know, to the genre. Do you have favorites, specific ones that you're channeling?
Oh, I mean, for me, you gotta go classic with like Night of the Living Dead, and that it's like sometimes like simple is better. You know, that like the atmosphere and the dread comes from like simple things that our brain is afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, there's so it's, you know, I think the first zombie movie I ever saw was Return of the Living Dead, and then like Night of the Demons, and then like and then stuff like that from the 80s, and but then like going back into the original Romero stuff, but then like I really liked 28 Days Later. I really liked I liked World War Z. Like I liked all that kind of stuff. It was really incredible. But I also thought that, you know, in the genre, there's just so much stuff. And I also really like The Walking Dead, like a lot. I loved the concept, especially in the beginning, of like what happens after the movie's over, right? The movie has happened, and now you got to just deal with freaking life in this shit. So I really liked a lot of it. It was just, do I have anything to bring to it? Because it's just such a, you know, and it's kind of like, hey, I really respect you guys, but you know, it's like, how about, you know, having it a little bit different? And, yeah.
There's I feel like this book is coming out at just the right time, because just as recently as a couple of years ago, zombie stuff was everywhere. And I feel like it was easy to get lost in the clutter, but now it's not everywhere, but it's also not gone yet from the zeitgeist.
So you can, our artist was a little slow, so so you can thank him for that one.
He was amazing, but took his time to craft each panel.
So there's a lot of care in there.
A lot of care.
So it shows. How long has it been since the inception of the book, though?
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years. Okay. So 2018.
Yeah.
And I see that your dog is in here.
He has to be the best character.
He's the hyper like idealized version of our dog, because our dog is asleep in the other room, not giving two shits about what's going on. And our dog is so he's like our dog on steroids.
And literally, when Pablo sent us the first concept art of Leg from the book, he literally looked like he was on steroids. Yeah, he looked like a monster dog. It's
King Corso kind of a thing. He was just like, raw.
We're like, okay, Pablo. He's a golden retriever, like a little bit smaller, a little less like buff.
Yeah, I mean,
so you can see it in the back of the book. You can see the original concept art.
Our dog, like this dog, is not like a he's a service dog. He's there to help. He's a nice dog. He goes to places. He goes to movie places. You know, he is not like, you know,
not a champion.
He's not gonna kick some ass.
No.
So he's kind of out of his element in this situation.
Yeah.
And the way that you described the concept, which is the 1%, was playing the game and everything. Is this specifically intentionally meant to be a social commentary, or did that just fall into place?
Yeah, I believe it was intentional.
Yeah,
because I think that and then that kind of led us to our second lead character, who is Terrence, because there's this aspect of being a veteran about feeling used in society, and you know, it's used by the government. And, you know, there's this aspect of, and Terrence is a college football player, and, you know, he blows his knee out. So he's kind of been used by the university to make, you know, millions upon millions of dollars. And so there is a social commentary about like using people as fodder, kind of, you know, it's like, it's in the, you know, people with power and people with money being able to, you know, do horrible things to people and get away with it.
Yeah,
and it's like
it's
that.
Not, and I don't think
so. Yeah, it's very much a part of the book.
And it's not to.
I don't bang over the head.
It's literally not. It has nothing to do with politics. It is neither left nor right.
Yeah.
There are terrible people who do terrible things, no matter what your political affiliation.
Yeah, it's just. People, you know, when you get to a certain, I don't know, there's not necessarily just even status, because that's just, but some people are just bad people.
Some people are just dicks.
Yeah. Well, and this is what also the other thing is like about monsters is that, you know, Chris Rock says, or he gives that analogy. He's like, a tiger, you know, went crazy and ate a kid at the zoo. It's like, no, a tiger didn't go crazy. A tiger went tiger. That's what a tiger does. But us as humans are pieces of shit most of the time. and who are bigger pieces of shit, people that can get away with it. And so that was kind of a big thing for me about it, is that it gave me a through line because of the themes about being used by society, and then other people being like used as fodder kind of helped me craft the game. Because like in all the great zombie movies, I think there is like just a theme of like social commentary in it.
Yeah.
And all horror has that. And so I just didn't want to, you know, like I said in the beginning, just another zombie something, another, you know, monster something, because, you know, there's so many. And the ones that resonate and hit home have something to say.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way while you were in the army?
Did I feel that way when I was in the army? Yes. I was in Panama. So I went in at 17. I was, this is the early 90s and stuff. And I had, you know, I was gung-ho and all that kind of stuff, right? And basically, my bar kept getting blown up because it was called My Place, actually. And they kept blowing, the people there kept blowing up the bar that I used to go to all the time. And that pissed me off. But there was also this sense that they just wanted to govern themselves. And I was kind of there for a political purpose. And for political reasons, against the people that actually wanted to govern themselves. And so I felt like I was just kind of this pawn of like, I have to take this here and do this over here and move over here. And for political reasons that are beyond my control, and these people, and whether we agree with their politics or not, they just wanted to, you know, have their own government. And so I looked at it in a lot of ways. And so I was like, when I got out, I just kind of, it was kind of weird because when I got out of the service at the time, people that were in the army and whatnot, people laughed at us. We weren't like today where it's like, thank you for your service. When I got into college, you just started laughing at me. Like, why'd you do that? That's stupid.
When was this? When was this?
This was in early 90s, like 92, 93.
Okay.
And so I just stopped telling people that I was a vet because it was a different time. And then I had a lot of friends that were overseas at that time because I was replenished down in Panama for some unknown reason. But like a lot of my friends got Gulf War syndrome, and they were being given nerve agent, and it caused all kinds of problems, physical problems, problems with their children, and all this kind of stuff because the government was giving them low doses of nerve agent to try to make them immune, which made no sense. So yeah, I felt really, really fucking used. And then seeing it not just on my end, and seeing my friends have, you know, they went to Afghanistan and Iraq, and whatever your political, you know, thoughts are, you know, there's, you know, these guys come back and they're messed up, and they kind of get, thank you for your service, and here's your hat, and there you go, and you know,
actual help for them is rare.
Yeah, like real help. And so you know, 22 people die every, you know, commit suicide every day. It's like that, you know, there's a shit ton of them on the streets. It's like, it's messed up. And that's so yeah, I think that people that go in with the best of intentions and then realize that and either they figure that out, or they go more gung-ho. So that's the way they kind of rationalize it in their mind.
Yeah, I think that's the dichotomy I've seen in on social media, like over the last several years. It's either people, if people in the military kind of either figure it out and you know don't like what they were doing, and or then the other ones just kind of go really extreme. And I
call it doubling down on dumb. And I know that's kind of like a dick thing to say, but it's like, you know, when you
it is what it is.
Yeah, you can to come to realize that you did something wrong, or like, I think a lot about the Vietnam vets about this, right? It's like you either dealt with it, or you just were like, oh, and you started hitting your kids or whatnot, right? And you went and
oh yeah, didn't someone was telling us that one theory about why there were so many serial killers in like the 60s and 70s was that they were all children of Vietnam vets who came home.
World War II.
Oh wow.
Vietnam.
No, Vietnam 70s.
That's right.
Yeah,
World War II.
So it's just, it's very so yeah, but you kind of don't want that egg to crack because the shell is so fragile. So you just kind of hold on to it, so you don't anything that like disrupts that idea means that what you did you have to deal with, and you don't want to do that. I mean, that's kind of why. I've thought a lot about it.
Yeah, that's an eye-opening answer, and I don't mean to make light of anything you just said, but I just have to ask: do they really give you a cat?
What's that? Oh no, a cat. No, a cat. But they are starting to give us dogs. But that's a pause for pets, or pause for patriots.
Oh, really? So that's an actual movement.
Yeah. That's a good movement. Pause for patriots, and guitars for vets is also a really helpful thing, where the guitar itself and the vibrations help soothe, and then holding the guitar next to the body helps feel protected, kind of like your rifle. It's a really weird and interesting psychological fact. So yeah, studied a lot about
Muscle memory, something to replace the gun with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the vibrations help soothe the brain. It's pretty cool.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I wish I was good enough to teach other people how to talk, because that's what I would do. Is because they're around guitars for vets. Yeah.
Emily, I know how Dan's personal experience factors into this book, but how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that growing up as like an only child and like going to art school, like I met a lot of kind of like odd, discarded people, and always felt a little bit that way myself. That like it's uh, it was different when being a nerd was not cool. Like
I feel like being a nerd still isn't cool, actually.
Being an actual nerd isn't, but
Yeah.
like taking over and hijacking nerd culture is.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, just the Disney like megalith of making Marvel so popular has changed like the cultural conversation.
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, sometimes for the better, sometimes for not, but really just like growing as a human and feeling like those strengths are what will actually help you survive. Like I really resonate with that like the sometimes the worst parts of you or the parts that you hate like are the thing that gets you through life, that like it's cliche to say like makes you special because like we're not really all snowflakes, but that you can turn those into strengths and it can help you.
I get that. You went to SCAD, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Yep.
a few people who went to SCAD. It was their characters.
Yeah, definitely. There's tons of us out there, and I worked there as well, so I get to meet a lot more students and see how like get to go back to those college days all over again. I could totally see the game happening at SCAD.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we really kind of tried to craft the characters, you know, and create full-fledged characters out of it, you know, in this. And so like I really, you know, she gave me a lot of inspiration for both Lisa and Megan, and yeah, I think there's quite a bit of us in this book.
Yeah, I think it hopefully hits a chord, even though it is a lot of action and
A lot of cursing,
a lot of cursing, and things blowing up. You know, like
Yeah.
we, as I guess creators do, fell in love with our characters because they are us to some degree, and they have something to say.
Speaking of the characters, do you guys want to run through your main cast?
Sure.
Well, Oz is our like uber lead, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, kind of.
This one writes ensembles all the time,
Yeah, exactly.
so just sit down and get ready.
Yeah. And you got and he's kind of a 30-year-old freshman, you know, ex-military, and he is at this liberal arts college and doesn't fit in at all. And then
Is it SCAD? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, it's much more hoity-toity because they have a football team, and then
with
Terrence,
his service dog leg.
with his service dog leg.
Can't
And
forget leg.
leg is very important because he wakes him up at school.
That's
and
right.
And then Terrence is he plays football for the university, and he just blew out his knee, and so his like draft, he's like his future is completely lost, and he's kind of trying to figure out what he's going to do. And Lisa, she's just got accepted to medical school
and avoiding it like the plague.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to go, but it's kind of being forced there. And then there's Megan. Megan is this, and unfortunately, Megan kind of got cut a little bit, her kind of origin, because of we couldn't fit it all in. But she's this kind of insane,
highly artistic.
highly artistic person who is who kind of she's kind of like the genius. And then there's Jer, who is Oz's battle buddy. His name is Adams, and he died overseas, and Jer's his younger brother. And then you want to run through the bad guys there?
Yeah, we got a real bad trio.
Yeah.
Bitsy has to be my favorite. She's out and out psychotic. And then Felton and Teddy are cousins. And Teddy's like one of those little tiny blonde like gremlins that is like way hyped up at the frat party.
Yeah, and he's just gonna do whatever he wants to do because his dad's gonna be able to pay for it,
right?
You know, get him out of the problem. And he's just that.
And Felton's definitely kind of like the slick asshole that gets away with stuff.
Yeah, he's just.
This is his like second or third game, so he's actually survived a bunch of games already.
Yeah, and so he is just, he's old money and doesn't get excited about anything except for,
this
really weird shit.
Gotta find a way to keep himself busy.
That's
exactly, right? And so that's when we originally had it, so we had to cut some stuff, is that he was just kind of like bored out of his mind, and he's just like working on it, and he's like just sitting there and he's doing drugs and whatnot, and nothing's really doing anything, and he gets the call and the game's on, and he's just like, get the hell out of my house. He's just like pumping iron and going, like, just excited for something to do, something to, get his blood pumping.
And it makes him cruel.
Yeah. And use people.
Yeah, people with way too much time and money on their hands.
Yeah.
And talk to me about your stretch goals here.
Yes. So we have a bunch of fun stretch goals. One of them definitely involves leg. So
if we can wake them up.
You might be getting a personalized message from Leg if we hit our first round of stretch goals. Mm-hmm. That is our initial stretch goal. We also have a new tier to open up to only one lucky backer. We have Lisa's samurai sword that she uses in the book, to go with all of our other packages. You get all the prints and all the books and that type of thing, and her sword. And what I'm most excited about, though, is that if we actually, the day we hit our goal, we're able to release an amazing horror author tier with just a ton of authors who gave like physical books, digital books, in addition to our books, like really awesome indie up and coming writers who we want to support. So get your bookstagram ready. Make those stacks. But life is more than comics. So, you get to read some words, you get to read some comics, but all of it's awesome horror. So we're very excited. And it comes with an exclusive print from Jose Cabrera. So
wow.
Yeah, we stuffed them. We stuffed those tears.
She was like, I need more tears.
More tears.
I need more. And I'm like, oh. She's like, I'm gonna die. Okay, this is where I step back. I don't know what's happening.
As of the moment, you are $775 away from hitting your goal. So, and there's still 25 days to go. So I hope you guys, fill all those stretch goals.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was very cool.
Yeah.
Last few questions. What would you say is what would you say is the theme of the book if you had to sum it all up in one sentence?
Oh, no, you go.
Well, the theme is.
Oh, you got to both answer it.
Oh.
The theme is
No
all
cheating, no copying.
It's all about that. Oh God. No, well, it's all about the one. It's all about like the power and the powerless, but that the powerless can take back their power. That to me is really what it comes down to. Is that you can beat them at their own game.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't copy now, but that is the theme.
It is the theme. It is the theme.
I guess I'll tweak it to be that like your powers might be hidden even to yourself, and that they can be the thing that unlocks the key to your potential.
Great. And here's my last question.
Mm.
Dan, I know you've been in feature films. So
Yeah.
so I'm assuming you're Team Godzilla.
Oh.
Well, see, I'm gonna be honest, man. Because I fought Godzilla in one of his other.
You were in Godzilla.
I was in Godzilla. So I was fighting him.
Yeah.
But then he turned out to be fighting even a worse guy. But I haven't been in any Kong movies. But Kong, the thing about Kong, like this, I was thinking about this, right? It's like he's a lizard, right? And so I don't have a lot in common with a lizard. The other guy's like an ape. He's a great ape. It's like we're pretty close, as humans and apes.
Godzilla all the way. Nuclear
Look,
breath.
I'm not saying that I'm going to think that he's going to win, but if I'm rooting for the underdog, it's like, yeah, he's on the same planet of my, we're in the same strata here. I could be King Kong, but it's going to be a very hard manipulation for me to become Godzilla. So I'm going Kong.
Emily going Godzilla here.
It's gotta be Godzilla, the king of all monsters. Like
he's got a thumb, dude. He can use his hands. He can use clubs and stuff. I heard there's an axe of some kind.
Godzilla's got like spikes and everything.
I know he's got hands too somehow.
He does that very tiny.
He's got tiny T-Rex hands.
Yeah.
They're not very useful.
He's mad. He's just gonna be around my back.
He uses a skyscraper.
Have you guys seen the movie? Do you know who wins?
No.
I just kind of figured that
it's on for the weekend.
Well, I think that from Twitter, I think I know, but
is it Mothra?
I don't know, but I just I'm not gonna say anything, but I kind of figured that they would have to team up against somebody worse, because that's kind of how those move. It's like this guy versus that guy, and it's like, no, we're gonna actually have to fight, Ultron or whatever.
You're thinking of Batman v Superman.
Yes, yeah.
See, it's like, and you could have just done the book. Anyway, sorry.
I don't know how a straight Frank Miller adaptation would have done those, so maybe it was better we didn't get that.
I don't know. Martha! Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?
Oh, don't worry, Henry. Wait. Okay, so we have to talk about this seriously, though. I thought Henry Cavill was out as Superman, and then I see he's doing 2 more Superman movies. I don't understand. I thought he gave up.
There's all sorts of news from that end that's I don't know.
I'm not gonna watch it anyway. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's like I the DC.
Oh hey!
Hi buddy.
This is Lang.
Oh.
Hey, you're a comic book star, doggy.
That's right. Immortal forever.
Huh.
Oh, look at him! He's so happy.
Very excited. We're down here.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's like, "Why are you on the floor?" But yeah,
very cool.
I'm just not a big fan of DC movies. I don't think that they've kind of quite hit the mark, except for Batman standalones.
I get what you mean. I mean, for me, they're a level below.
Yeah.
Actually, all the Zack Snyder stuff, I'm not a fan of. So, but all right. So that was great. That was awesome. Thank you guys. I'll try to put this up as soon as I can.
Oh yeah,
And
thank you so much for having us.
good luck with all the goals. And tell me what's next, just to close this off.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
have no idea.
Oh, then never mind.
No.
This monkey gets back to his typewriter and gets to write book 2 and 3
Yeah.
of the series.
I ended up writing a horror comedy that does not have anything to do with this, but I really like it.
And so he likes to talk about
So
it.
I wrote that. Unfortunately, it's not like here. She needs to make me focus.
Yeah. So book 2 and 3 in the works.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
so much.